I had a really interesting conversation with somebody the other day. It was over the weekend, right before I got on stage for a comedy show I was doing up in Oklahoma. But anyway, point is it was about freedom of speech, and I was telling him that I think most people believe that they have and do exercise to a degree freedom of speech, but I think speech will only be truly free when people have the freedom of thought. And what do I mean by that? That means that all society is telling them about these certain words that they can't hear and ideas that they're not allowed to have. They're not freely thinking. So when somebody freely speaks, that comes in that whole trigger word, that whole trigger mechanism where people start to close off their thoughts. And if somebody's thoughts are closed before I can start to enter into your mind, before you're getting an emotional reaction to make you laugh, it doesn't just make my job harder. You're building a wall. You're building a wall without a door. And it basically isn't impenetrable, right? I have to break you down. Whereas if you were open-minded, if you just had the freedom to be able to think not just for yourself but to receive ideas, then you would be able to truly be relaxed and enjoy what other people say, even if it's a differing opinion. It's such a crazy world now where somebody can't have a different opinion without having to tell their opinion right after it, right? It's a strange thing. I think that people should be allowed to express themselves to the best or worst degree and have the other person, yeah, they can express back, but it doesn't have to have such a harsh emotional reaction to where you have to shut down the other person and then say over top of what they said, whether they're right, they're wrong, justify somebody else's thoughts, and then tell them how they should think. That's crazy, right? Unfortunately, unfortunately, that I think is the number one problem with comedy, because comedy is all about two parts, two parts of communication: the freedom of speech and the freedom of thought. And if the comedian is hindering their words, right? Uh, and they're trying to communicate something without, there's like a dumb little game where it's like you try to say something but you're not allowed to say certain words. It's actually pretty cool, but it's pretty much the scenario. I'm pretty sure it's like there's it's not Pictionary, it doesn't matter, but imagine trying to explain something and I took out certain keywords and you trying to convey that information. That essentially is my job in this edited, unfree realm of thinking that I'm in right now. Because a lot of people say they want to be funny. I remember I got ready to do a comedy show. Doesn't matter, I'm not going to say where. And they actually told me before I got on stage, saying topics that I could not talk about, that I was not allowed to say. And it had nothing to do about, not being racist or not making fun of fat people or skinny people or talking about certain jobs. It was a whole array. Like the whole point of being funny is to get people to laugh, not offend them, obviously, right? But it was weird because they were talking about certain groups of people that you were allowed to make, a political party, all sorts of stuff. And for someone to be like, listen, I want you to make a painting for me, or here you're allowed to paint. You can come here anytime you want. You can rent this space. You can help us make money. You are the entertainment. You are the artist. But my rule is that I don't want you to use certain colors. And not even that. I don't want you to use certain strokes. And the paper has to be my kind. And this isn't even a project for them. This is a project for other people. And they say if you break any of these rules, you don't get any money. It's weird. Imagine someone that's not an artist explaining to an artist what they cannot do with their art to an audience that is not even theirs. People don't go to a comedy club to see a manager. They come to see me. They come to see you. They come to see the comedian. You know what I mean? So I remember what happened with the show was I said, hey guys, listen, just to let you know, these are the exact things that I'm not allowed to talk about. Ironically enough, half of those is exactly what I was going to talk about. One of them was women. and it wasn't, again, a bad thing. It was just observations having to do with like shopping and some other stuff, and then there were a few other topics. But I told them, and then after it, it was funny, and they were just very. They were. I thought they were really great observations, but they weren't demeaning. But I broke one of the rules, and they basically just told me that I can't come back. Now I'm okay with that because I left with more people in my phone, more contacts made. I had a great show, but I didn't play the game. So did I win or did I lose? You see what I'm saying? I have changed my comedy in this borderline communist style of regimented joke telling to where this last show, I feel like I could be essentially, there's still a better version of myself, but the best version of myself while still playing the game and being able to get booked. Because now I'm getting booked more for shows now than ever before, but I'm also playing the word game. And if I can play the word game and find in between the cracks brilliant comedy, it's harder to do. It's the most rewarding. It's making my writing better. I'm not using any bad language, right? Any bad words or anything like that. And it is, when I have the shackles off, so to speak, right? And I'm free to be able to say jokes of all different types, I'm going to be that much better of a comedian. But it was just a weird little sidebar conversation I had right before going on stage. I thought it was interesting, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a podcast out of this. So with that being mentioned, a quick wrap up. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you have the freedom of thought. Relax. I'm Benja Well Done. Check me out. Peace.